5 years in the making, Hazbin Hotel finally got released onto Amazon Prime to very much be a actual show. It's kind of wild to think that the pilot for it was actually like 4 or 5 years ago in the making of it, and it finally got to be an actual show that's been waiting for it. I've been waiting for it personally because I did like the pilot. I very much wanted it to be a show for a long while, even though they did end up having another show with Hell of a Boss, which is also pretty cool. I still wanted Hazbin Hotel to be treated with the same amount of love as Hell of a Boss. So when they got heard that it was Amazon Prime picking them up, I was willing to watch it throughout the whole thing. And now the show finally ended with its last two episodes as of right now. And I'm about to give my current thoughts and opinions on it. So welcome to Prehistoric Reviews, I guess. The first thing I actually want to get away is actually kind of like the criticism I do actually have of the show, because I actually do like it. I actually did very much end up enjoying the show, but there are some things that kind of hinder it a little bit bad, because it's far from a masterpiece of a show. But there is some things I do want to actually say before I get onto the things I actually do very much like about the show. The first thing I think is a bit of an issue with the show entirely is that it's kind of constrained only to 25 minutes, and it's only in 8 episodes. Meaning that they kind of have to get through a lot of stuff very fastly in order to get a lot of the story beats hit a little bit. Which kind of also kind of fits in with the other point as well, because its pacing issues is a bit kind of just all over the place. Because of the 8 episodes, it has to go through everything completely and utterly fast, and they do hit on the certain points there because of it. They do a very much a fantastic job at trying to constrain everything all into that kind of to get everything kind of done. But they kind of also make it where it's they have an issue at the beginning of the episode, then they have the climax of the episode, and then they kind of finish everything else because of it in the exact same episode, which is not bad, but it feels like it should be ongoing character arcs, which I guess it doesn't work because this is also being framed as a musical, which we'll get into a second with a lot of the songs. But that's just the one thing for it. It feels like it goes way too fast, so even when you do binge the series, you feel as if you kind of can't find a way to catch a break or even take much of a breather. So that's only one. The second one, this is what kind of beyond the show's thing, but it's kind of just a nitpick I have with Amazon, and that is that I think it was kind of a dumb idea to just essentially release 4 episodes on the exact same day, and then 2, and then 2. I don't know which executive or somebody at Amazon Prime thought this was a good scheduling release, because it feels like a lot of the episodes kind of feel a bit not forgettable, but a lot of it does feel like you're going through it way too fast half the time. I feel like I would have benefited from just having 1 episode a week, so that we can actually digest the episode and sit with it for a while for the most part. Because Hell of a Boss at least benefited from releasing an episode every now and then, once a month style type of deal. But with Hazbin Hotel, you can't have to drop a lot of the stuff in here. You get a huge first batch, and then you get a second one, and then you get the last one, which it kind of worked in this regard because it's still popular regardless. At least as personally to me, at least has how I want to have the episodes to be digested, because a lot of it can be skipped, or you don't know exactly what's the impression the first episode, the second, the third, or the fourth, and the fourth has been regarded as the best one, which it is in my personal opinion. It is a very good episode, but that's just the complaint number 2 I have. And I guess the third one would probably is more or less, I guess, it's not really much of a nitpick, but I guess that for a lot of newcomers who aren't been familiar with Hazbin Hotel, there is a lot of swearing. No, it doesn't need to be a detective to know that this show is swearing. They're characters in hell. They're going to say every swear word in the book. They're gonna do everything that's just not accepted in society. That's kind of just the whole point. And I don't know how people are more saying that this is kind of the worst thing of it, because it's in hell. What did you exactly expect? This is kind of just an interpretation to most everything. So this is a personal thing, at least I have, because I kind of just enjoyed it. I very much do liked it, but I just don't understand where that kind of like nitpicky of it, like they're saying too many swear words because it makes it enjoyable. I personally just never had a problem with it. It just never really bothered me for the most part. But I guess if you're somebody that doesn't like too much swearing, within like the show for like an adult cartoon, then you're not probably going to like it. But if you don't mind it, then like you're going to enjoy a lot of it. So let's get out with my positives of this show. I think the show's animation has exceeded a lot from it. Like it has grown to exceptional stuff from it, and I absolutely love the many uses it actually does have to like portray all the different type of designs from like all like the demons. Like not one kind of like stays the same for like most of the part. Everyone has a very much distinct look to them, whether it be very like tall, lanky, or like any different like variety of a creature. It all ends up working out, and they all manage to like fit into this like world of hell, of this like of like the pentagram that's like surrounding everything. I think the characters are actually very much good, although fast in a lot of their developments for the most part, because sometimes most of them just have like dedicated episodes to them, and some of them only get like only some amount of attention to what they kind of are, which I'm guessing it's like gonna be explained in like their second season. I'm assuming they're gonna get a second season because they kind of teased it a little bit at the end. But as far as I know, they're very much good characters. One of my actual favorite characters is actually Angel Dust, who actually gets a very much huge amount of character development with it, along with like a friendship with like Husk as well, and that whole thing. Like Angel is a very much a good character. A very much a good character because on the surface you kind of think like he's just some like weirdo porn like kind of just like guy or spider thing that you just don't think there's like much like redeeming things about him until we actually learned about it, and that there's actually stuff that very much can be redeemed in some of these things as well. And I actually do like that about him, and a lot of the characters do have like that kind of sense. We get introduced to a lot of stuff, such as like the overlords, what heaven is like, what's like kind of the stuff with like in hell, and all of that. We very much get a lot of it, and I know like I'm saying this like this is the only thing I'm loved, but I also like kind of is like realizing another criticism while I'm making this is that a lot of it that you kind of don't have much of a process to, because again, even despite it being fast, it is still managing to get a lot of this stuff to the audience as to convey what kind of all this kind of just is, at least through like a lot of the songs and all that. But a lot of the characters sometimes don't do much. Like even like for the V's, I'm not going to spoil anything that's like too big, but the V's are said to be like this kind of like rival to Alistair, the radio demon, and like with Vox, the two of them are like the battles with voice and television, and you would think they would kind of be like a big like player like the whole like in, like the whole show, and they don't do much of anything. They kind of are there in like the final stuff moments of like of like the first seasons, but they don't exactly do much of like anything, if I'm being honest, which might be a bit of a minor spoiler, but like they don't do anything all that important for the most part, as far as as far as I know. But a lot of characters in this show very much are kind of like draw the line for like between like you can like them, or you kind of just find them as like they're like a fine character, and that's usually kind of with me like with most of the cast. But none of them I actually really hated all that much. Even like Adam to the extent, which is the antagonist of the whole like season, which I gotta say Alex Brightman did a very much good job with Adam as a villain. I really do think that he's honestly just really funny at just being the most hugest asshole on earth, and just making him both like the most like being part of like the heaven for the most part. So that's just like pretty funny. I very much enjoyed a lot of him when he very much was coming around. And I think the show was very much doing a lot of it because it did actually explore a lot like themes for what the Hazbin Hotel has been trying to do. And I very much do like that they still at least keep that up a little bit consistent for the most part, because they did actually show a lot of like the hard stuff that you very much kind of like do see in like everyday things, and how it actually all conveys. And I do like that. I actually do. Like episode 4 is probably one of my favorite episodes ever out there because of just how much work and care was actually put into the whole thing. There is a there is like a lot of character and there is a lot of stuff that you can very much get explored about this, and I don't understand as to why Twitter is like thinking like otherwise, because like a lot that hate them, they kind of like span out for it, which it's Twitter. They're going to hate on anything that like they find out there anyway. So it's not like it's gonna be like a new thing. But I just been seeing like a lot more like the Vizzy Pop like just hate that's been kind of just growing out there, and I have no idea what the hell is all even going to be. But I do have to congratulate Vizzy Pop for like making this show like possible, because this is like a huge deal for her. Like she just started off as someone just like animating these stuff for like a little bit of a while, like 4 to 5 years ago, as like this kind of like rather like kind of like popular channel, and then she like grew big with the pilot, Hell of a Boss, and now her show's like popular everywhere. It's like on like New York Times Square, and like that's a huge thing. So it's a big deal for her to just like have her show kind of be both kind of like out there in the world for everybody to be like aware of and be like being known for. And I also want to finish that point off with like a lot of the songs, because the songs on this are actually not bad. In fact, a lot of them are actually really, really good, and a lot of them are actually like really catchy. There's some songs I like a little bit better than others, but the one song I think, like, at least two that I at least actually do like is "Stayed Gone," which is like a duet between like Alistair and Vox, and "Loser Baby," which has been kind of like the popular song, and I honestly actually do like "Loser Baby" as well. Not only because like it's Keith David as Husk like singing it, but also it's like a big like character moment that like works both as like moving forward with the plot and being like a good song in by itself, which that's like it's finally that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. That's what we want to do, and I do love "Loser Baby." I literally have listened to it so many times before, almost all the time ever since I listened to it, and like it's just a good song. Like it's legitimately like a really good song to listen to. I highly recommend it, and I do recommend this show as well. If you do love a lot of the stuff that Vizzy Bomb has worked on, then you're absolutely going to love Hazbin Hotel. I am very much proud for Vivi for making this dream essentially just come true in her own right. And giving this show a rating, I'm gonna give this show about like an 80%. A lot of the complaints kind of dwindle it down from it, because I would have given it a little bit like much more higher, like a 90%. But the complaints are a little bit more a little more bearable to see, at least with me. So this is kind of like the perfect spot where it actually does sit. So that's all I have to say for the show. Very much good show, highly recommended, and that's the end of the review. Bye bye.